Do you ever ask yourself why you're fishing, where you're fishing at that given time? Do you ever go out for flounder and just say, well, I'm going to the same spot I went to last week and the week before, and the week before, and the week before, produced once? Well, that's not the best way to do it. In this video, I'm going to show you in about 5 minutes a better way to break down an area and find spots that you can catch flounder. All right, so let's just jump right in here and I'll show you how to do this in about 5 minutes. This area is in the region where this person that I'm doing this video for can access via boat. A little bit of water for him to get in, but still tons of opportunities for him to get all over the place. If you have a kayak, there are even more that I would point out, but let's just start with these three right here. The first one is this point down here. It comes off a main channel. This entire area is within about a mile of an inlet, a pretty big inlet. So you know that there's a lot of fresh water coming in, some decent dissolved oxygen levels, which will really help to keep those flounder active. So I like this point. Now, when you turn in here, there's another point up here, and it also offers the advantage of having a choke point. So you can see the shallower water on the left, and then you can see a channel running down this way. So I would look in this area in the next view that I'll show in a moment. And then the third one is over here. It looks like a really good spot because you have the convergence of multiple channels, multiple creek systems coming together. So you've got these points right here that you could fish depending on which tide you're fishing. So I'd want to look at that. Okay, so now I flip over to a Navionics view of this. And for those that are unfamiliar with Navionics, it shows the contours of the bottom of the channels and the water. So you can see the satellite pictures of the land, and then you can see the depths of the water at these various points. So let's look at them again. Here's point number 1, and you can see over here on the right, you can see that there appears to be a lot of structure, and you can tell the structure and the different contours on the bottom by how many of these vertical lines are together. That shows the varying depths within the water, and they're typically around a 1 foot to 2 foot difference between the lines. So the closer together they are, the more severe the drop off. So there's point number 1 that I looked at, and it looks pretty decent, and it looks like something that I would want to check out. Another spot I pointed out was this little creek right here, or this little point. It's a choke point between some land and some shallow water. It looks like there's a little bit of a channel there. Not quite as interesting as I thought it would be, although I would give it a look. There's a little bit of structure there, and the choke point does offer some possibilities for flounder sitting up in an ambush for any bait fish that are swept through that area. The next spot are these 2 points over here in the top left, and that looks like it has a ton of structure. I'm 100% going to be fishing that, and I'll look at that closer in a moment. And then there's one that I didn't see on the satellite that you can see on the Navionics that looks interesting, and that's this section right in here if you want to fish a drop-off right next to a sod bank. I'm not going to talk about that one in this video, but it definitely would be an alternate spot to check out. All right, so let's zoom in on spot number 1. This is that point, and again, the inlet is up in this direction, and it's within a mile. So you got a lot of fresh water and a lot of current coming in through here. What you don't see is there is also a bridge up to the right. So there's some structure up there. And you can see the way that this shakes out. You see a lot of these lines that are close together. So there's a fairly significant transition from the land down to the deep water. You can see it gets down to around 17 in this area, 16 up in here. And around the corner, it comes up to 4. So I'm going to want to try to fish this on the incoming tide so I can take advantage of the water coming down through this deeper and then coming around this corner. I would fish this back into the 4 foot range, but then you can see the lines get further apart. It gets very flat, and that's not exactly what I'm looking for. So I'm going to want a drift that's either going to come down this direction along the bank, this direction along the bank and around the corner, or I'm going to want to stay out a little bit further and see if I can take advantage of this out here and maybe drift down into this area down at the bottom to take advantage of that. But I'm going to be drifting directly into that blue and green, which is going to be very shallow. So I'm going to want to be able to pick up real quick and move. All right, so now we come up into these other 2 points, and you can see it's where this main channel comes through this direction, back and forth, and then you have this creek up top. And I like this point over here on the right, and I also really like this point over here on the left. Depending on which tide it is, would depend on which one I'm fishing. On an outgoing tide, the water is going to come down out of this creek in this direction and the main channel in this direction. and then just reverse it on the incoming, coming from this direction in the main channel and then back up through here. So you can see you have some holes in here. You have some structure on the bottom all throughout this area, and it looks like it gets pretty deep. You can see it's up around 2 to 4 feet in this range, but it gets significantly deeper, and there's a lot of structure in there that a flounder could use to set up some ambushes on bait fish that are traveling through the area. So on the incoming tide, I would drift in tight around here and around the corner and up. On the outgoing, I would probably start on the opposite side and take advantage of the structure on the left and just drift across all of that and down in this direction. Now that you've seen the breakdown of these two spots, click on the video popping up on the left side of the screen, and that'll take you through the online tools that I use to identify spots so that you can do it on your own, or click the playlist on the right where I'm going to go through similar spot breakdowns along with the catch videos from those spots that I fished. See you in the next video.